Did the UK approve the division of Nigeria? So guys, there's been this headline trending on the social media, which I've not been able to verify. Now, see what the headline says. Breaking. US lawmaker Raimo shows the US Congress a written agreement by the British government stating that Nigeria should be divided after 100 years, which he said expired in 2014. Now, this other headline from Facebook also carried it, saying US lawmaker Raimo shows the US Congress a written statement by the British government stating that Nigeria should be divided after 100 years, which he said expired in 2014. A United States lawmaker, Raimo, has reportedly presented a written statement to the US Congress, which he claims originated from the British government, according to Moore. The document allegedly suggested that Nigeria could reconsider its political structure 100 years after its formation period, he said, ended in 2014. Moore argued that Nigeria's continued unity has faced persistent challenges, citing ethnic tension, insecurity, and governance issues. However, his remark has sparked controversy as no official confirmation has been provided by the British government to support the existence or validity of such a document. So, guys, I don't know how true these headlines are. I tried to get more, confirmation, but I didn't really see any strong and well-respected media website that carried this headline. So I don't know how true this is. But guess what? This is coming after terrorists are said to have died more than 200 or close to 200 persons in Kwara State. Now, as regards to that, let me read this headline here. Like this person here said, forget what the media is saying. Over 200 people were killed. The massacre in Kwara is just the beginning of what will happen in Yoruba land. They are already in Oyo State. I've been warning about the Islamization agenda of Islamists and Fulani jihadists. It's already happening. Apostle Michael Oloworikere said this, and then another person here said this too. The audacity of these terrorists to pause their slaughter of human beings to go and pray, only to return and resume their massacre. And in all these hours, no single security agency or agents in Kwara State intervened or tried to engage them. In a sane country, Tinubu would have resigned by now. So, guys, these terrorists actually came attacking these people, left and went for prayers and came back and continued the attack. Guess what their anger is? They said the people should accept Islam, should accept Sharia law. That if they don't accept Sharia law, they will not survive. That was what led to the massacre of these people. So guys, a whole lot is happening in Nigeria. I'm going to allow you to take a look at how Ojokwe and Arise TV crew have all discussed this. But take a look at this headline. This one here says, over 160 people slaughtered in a predominant Yoruba town, and everywhere is silent because you love Tinubu more than your safety, netizens. And then this other headline here too says, bandits ambush Zamfara residents returning from market, kill 5, several missing. This country has fallen. So these terrorists in Kwara State actually came forcing their religion on the people, that the people should accept their preaching. It means that they actually went to a Christian environment. Now the people rejected their preaching. Guess what? They had to buy them. And they became even more angry when informants told them that the village head had informed the security people, the security agents, and the terrorists became more angrier, as in who gave them the audacity to go and report them to the police or to the military. Now take your time and see how Ojokbe has explained all this. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification for more. Now take a look.
Almost unimaginable that this occurred just back to back after. I mean, it's been a horrible year so far, Ayo. I mean, the attack of this magnitude is really, really horrifying. May all of their souls rest in peace. And I'd like to take Farouk Perogi's post. I mean, that he released a statement. He wrote, people familiar with what happened in the village of Woro, Kayama local government area, said that the bloodbath started yesterday evening and continued into the morning hours of today. The trigger for the mass massacre was a decision by the district head of the village, by the name Alhaji Saliu Umar, to inform the authorities of a letter the community received from the terrorists stating that they would be coming to preach in the village at an unspecified date. The village head suspected that the terrorists known to locals as Mahmouda were up to no good. So he did what all law-abiding people would do, report to the security forces. It turned out, however, that the terrorists appeared to have informants among the security forces the village head reported to. The terrorists were incensed that the village head had the temerity to report them to the security forces and decided to go on a mass murdering spree. In retaliation, it is not the first time the Mahmuda terrorists have done such a thing in that community. The photos of slaughtered and mutilated bodies of innocent men, women, and children that my people shared with me have immobilized me and will probably haunt me for days. And I did see some of those visuals. Really, really horrific. You know, women, children, the king's family killed. We had our reporter on ground. We even had our reporter yesterday saying that he was there counting bodies and he was weak. Ayo.
No, this is a very sad day for not just Kwara State, but for the whole of Nigeria.
Yes.
And a number of people have been talking about it earlier today. Just corroborating what Mr. Farouk Perogi said, we had Alhaji Saliu himself come to speak about what happened. He described the fact that they had received letters ahead of time. Number one, this shows the brazenness of the terrorists, to the fact that they felt confident enough to write. It reminds me of the days when robbers would write to a neighborhood in some parts of Lagos and Nigeria and say, "We are coming," and nothing would be done. It also speaks to the inefficiency in this regard of security agents. It means it's almost an open dare to them. However, the military has continued to demonstrate their efforts to tackling insecurity, even though we're asking for more. Now, beyond that was that he went to report the matter as any uprighting citizen of the country and a community leader of his stature should have done. But what he met was a betrayal, a massive betrayal of trust, because someone within the agency, the DSS agency or the agency, the security agents, went to divulge this information to the enemies, who then, becoming upset, just what Mr. Perogi said.
Yeah.
And so, a number of things to address here. In the same way as we had with the school kidnappings, where someone leaked intelligence to the security operatives, and we said, who ordered the soldiers to withdraw? We don't have an answer to that yet. In the same vein, we're asking, who was the person that received intelligence information, and can we track the number of people in that chain who had information and begin investigation there? Let this not go. If not, we keep wasting our times. These are preventable deaths.
Yes.
These are preventable atrocities, because if something had been done following the letter that was written, perhaps we wouldn't be where we are today. Then beyond that is the fact that we must look at how, response time, because another thing that was asked this morning was, at what point were the soldiers called in? They were called at 5 p.m. They arrived at 3 a.m. That means that they arrived 10 hours. So what are the bottlenecks that were faced? With regards to emergency response, perhaps the number of deaths that were recorded would not have been recorded. It's a sad day for the community. Unfortunately, what this does is that it continues to spread fear amongst people in Kwara State and neighboring environments, and I dare say the whole of Nigeria, because the question is, who's next? If we're not arresting, if we're not prosecuting significantly, then Nigerians cannot go to bed with their two eyes closed that the government has security under control, and that's a sad situation. But the government say that they're on top of this. Let's see what they will do after this.
They are on top of it. This is the same question, the same Kwara State. This is the question a lot of people are asking. I mean, it's not new that these terrorists are operating in Kwara State, especially. Why deploy troops after the fact? What if we have troops? Why don't you just put them on ground? People have died needlessly. Someone's saying 200 people. 200. In one day. May their souls rest in peace. Meanwhile, the United States military has confirmed that American troops have been deployed to Nigeria, marking the first official acknowledgement of U.S. boots on the ground since Washington launched airstrikes on Christmas Day. General Dagvin Anderson, head of U.S. Africa Command, announced on Tuesday that a small team with unique capabilities has been sent to Nigeria following increased security cooperation between both nations. The deployment came after Anderson's meeting with President Tinubu in Rome last year. Nigeria's Defense Minister Christopher Musa confirmed the presence of the U.S. personnel, but, provided no further details. Meanwhile, the House Foreign Affairs Africa Subcommittee held a hearing on Wednesday titled Defending Religious Freedom Around the World, with U.S. congressmen calling out Nigeria as a country violating religious freedom. Well, according to former U.S. Ambassador Sam Brownback, Nigeria is at risk of descending into widespread Christian-Muslim violence, with Brownback describing Nigeria as the deadliest place on the planet to be a Christian. And Rufai, this was the conversation about this Kwara attack. They call them jihadists, the people that were there. But I call them terrorists, whether they are jihadists or not. They were out there trying to indoctrinate people in Kwara State, and because they refused to, cower to the religion, they massacred them. That's one of the stories out there.
Let's go back to the definition of a genocide.
Yes.
The definition talks a lot about intent. All right? In this case, in this massacre case, was there intent? Yes. The intent was to spread doctrines. They massacred Christians, they massacred Muslims, Muslims. Mm-hmm. So can we all agree that this is genocide? Because you see, in also having this conversation, it's how we situate the conversation. A lot of people were trying to run around and deny, there's no Christian genocide. No, there's no. And I've said many times, I can say boldly, there's Christian genocide. I can also say there's genocide against Muslims in the country. But can we both agree that there's a genocide going on in Nigeria? Because with these killings, does it pass the test of intent? It does. Secondly, the case about complicity. Till today, the Nigerian state does not have. And please, let me be a bearer of bad news, Oji. Attacks like this will happen again.
God forbid.
No, see, it's not by God saying God forbid.
I always pray.
Oji, see, Oji, it's not for the want of prayer. If it's by prayer, the amount of prayer that goes out in churches every Sunday, Nigeria will not have one smell of insecurity. But it's not by prayer. It's by walking and praying. We pray, but we are not doing the aspect of walking. What is the walking? Intelligence, reconnaissance, holding people accountable. Oji, I can bet you that those that leaked the secret to the terrorist group, those that were complicit, they will never be revealed. Yeah. We should not even investigate further, Oji. How did the village head call the security boys by 5 o'clock? They didn't come till after 3. And it was when the terrorists finished that they came. Who is protecting who? They said they put booby traps on the road. They call you by 5, reconnaissance. When I was asking Rafiu, the chief press secretary, he was trying to dodge it. You see, in this country too, you will not want to talk against your master or talk against. They said they got the people came. They didn't come until 3 o'clock. Ayo, you raised a very important point as regards the KB girls. That was how they ordered the military to leave there and the attack happened. So who is in charge of all of this? Who are the complicit bad eggs? Hoji, as long as we've not targeted the complicit bad eggs, it's going to happen again because it didn't only happen in Kwara, it happened in Katsina, it happened in other parts. Hoji, it's just that same level of complicity that happened in Kaduna, that terrorists came, picked 177 people. The local government chairman went there and told them, please don't talk about it, don't reveal this. And guess what? It was because the people revealed it. Till today, the local government chairman is still working free. The police was also complicit. The police also tried to cover it. Hoji, in a case where you can't trust the police, trust security architecture, trust the fact that you give intelligence. And that's why when people say, give us intelligence of what is happening, you are so scared you don't know who to talk to. In a case you can't trust all of that, then there's the culture of complicity. Hoji, it will happen constantly again. See, I don't know who said it to, but they cease to see that if an insurrection happens for more than 24 hours in a country, there's an element of complicity. The complicity is so wild in this country that you and I will be here and will report the next attack, which might be a couple of days from now, except we change.
We need to target these terrorists. Now, we're getting reports that at least 4 young Nigerians recruited to fight for Russia in the war with Ukraine were killed on the battlefield. According to investigations by the Daily Nigerian, the 4 Nigerians were all recruited under false pretenses of a security job, which ultimately led to their deaths on the front lines. The report indicated that the young men died at different points between December 2025 and January 2026, with the news of their killings first revealed in a secret WhatsApp group. Their journey to Russia began after an informal acceptance of the so-called security job offer by the Nigerian agent identified as Eniola Mohammed. Mohammed reportedly worked with the Russian embassy in Abuja to bring the young men to Russia, where they were promised a monthly salary of 200,000 rubles, which is the equivalent of about 3.6 million naira, among other perks. But as soon as they arrived in Russia, they signed a Russian contract with no English translation and were shipped off for training. While CNN's Larry Madowo had covered a similar story about Africans recruited to fight for Russia. Well, here is a snippet.
What is your name?
Francis.
This disturbing video appears to show an African recruit in the Russian army with a landmine strapped to his chest. He is being ordered to storm Ukrainian positions on the front lines.
I did see it. It is so traumatizing. Francis is my son.
Francis is among a growing number of African men fighting for Russia in Ukraine. I've spoken to about a dozen of them from Ghana, Kenya, Uganda, and Nigeria, who say they were forced into the Russian army and onto the front lines with barely any training. How long was the training?
3 weeks.
Many told me they were offered well-paying civilian jobs like drivers or electricians, and the money was good.
They are lying to people. The money that they tell people they pay, that is not true.
Most of the African fighters in Ukraine told me they're desperate to escape, but there's no way out. They feel trapped in a war with countless casualties and even racism from their Russian commanders.
You need to escape or you die. It's only 2 ways.
This is real. This is what is happening. 4 Nigerians among those dead. Well, the Russian embassy in Abuja has yet to comment publicly on this report, but it is concerning. Last year, Ukraine stated that over 1,400 Africans were fighting in the war for Russia.
Well, you know, this is unfortunate, and it takes us back to the economic conditions in many African countries about the crisis of unemployment. Now, Larry Madowo has brought up the story, and he referenced other African countries. The most celebrated one was the case of South Africa, when about 17 young men were found to be fighting in the Donbass region in the Russia-Ukraine war. And then another story about one of the daughters of former President Jacob Zuma accusing, you know, a sister of having been involved in sending some relatives abroad. And that showed us at that time that, look, these young men are promised jobs in Russia, and under the pretense of, being sent to go and find jobs and gain employment, they then end up being sent to the war front in a war in which they have no stake. And they are given training of not more than 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Some of them have never even handled a rifle. So you find the South African case, there's also the Kenya case, and now this morning, you are seeing Nigerians have also been killed in Russia-Ukraine war. Now, innocent boys who are just looking for jobs, just the same way people are also trafficked abroad to go and either become mates in the Middle East and they end up doing something else, or they are trafficked to go and get jobs in Italy. And then our sisters, become some other kind of, adult service providers in parts of Europe. So this is about trafficking. And I think, it's also about governance. So African countries need to be more vigilant and make sure that innocent young men are not just recruited to go and take jobs abroad. In terms of governance, we need to provide for our people at home. And then there must be a system for checking. If somebody says, I found a job in Russia, which kind of job are you going to take there? It's a classic case of the admonition. Although the reference by the original author was to politics, that you don't have to die in their war.
No.
I think it's a sad realization that Nigerians, Ugandans, Kenyans, Ghanaians, South Africans are dying in their war in Europe, between Russia and Ukraine, becoming mercenaries because their countries disappoint them, and they are subjected to the worst conditions possible. I think our Foreign Affairs Ministry and the relevant government agencies, should engage first in public education, enlightenment, to tell people if they tell you there is a job in Russia, just be sure. The caveat emptor is buyer beware.
Buyer beware. Well, let's head over to Kanu State, where a video that has sparked public fear and outrage shows a herder openly wielding a gun in broad daylight while leading a herd of cattle. The incident reportedly took place in Dawanu. Well, let's take a look. All right, that was a very short clip of that man. I'm sure you saw that man, Ayo, wielding that gun. And we haven't heard from the governor of the state, Abba Yusuf, on this incident, or the Kano State Police Command on whether this individual has been apprehended. Users on social media have expressed concern over public safety, given, the business and the surrounding area, and, also questioning the fact that, this man, does he have a right to carry a gun? And this is a story that I saw even yesterday. We took the American story about this young man saying these people that are perpetrating the crime in Yelwata, and this was his actual statement, and saying that they were Fulani herders. And these are the sort of conversations that we need to begin to have, where we see people wielding guns. Herders, they're supposed to have sticks, not guns, Ayo. Yeah. Not guns. I want to tie this story in as well, and I'd like for you to discuss both. Also in...
When I'm talking about Islamization agenda, you think you know better than me. You think most of us have been shouting and talking and trying to sensitize Nigerians about the Islamization agenda of these Fulani jihadists. You think you know better. And some of you in the West, from the Yoruba land, are so foolish that you think the people from the north, the jihadists, because they call Allah Akbar, you think you are the same. No. So I'm tired of the folly of Nigerians. Our foolishness knows no bound. Your foolishness knows no bound. That's when we should rise up and speak with one, as one, with one voice. You think it's between Christian, Muslim. And you play politics, and you play ethnic cards with it. You all are foolish. I'm telling you. You think you know better. Between today is Thursday. Between Monday and today, over 300 people have been annihilated, have been unalived in Nigeria. And nobody has done anything reasonable about it. You think you know better? When I tell you of Islamization agenda, you think you know better than me, isn't it? You all are foolish. Fulanis went to Woro village in Kwara State, which most of the people actually are Muslims. But because they have been preaching, they were preaching to them to accept Sharia as a governing law against the Nigerian constitution. Sharia as a governing law against the Nigerian constitution. And the people rejected. And the people said no, they would rather stick to the Nigerian constitution and be governed by the Nigerian constitution instead of Sharia. And even though most of these people are even Muslims, they executed, they did not just unalive them. They tied their hands behind their back in Woro village, tied their hands behind their backs. What you do to criminals, they tied their hands behind their backs and executed them. Over 200 of them. Oh, of course, the media say 170. If media tell you 170, I've always told you, divide that number by 2, they add what on top of it. So there are over 200 and something people that were executed. Because they refused Sharia law. And I told you the other time in my video, when I was explaining the pattern of Islamization, when I was explaining the sequence, the stages of Islamization. Number 1 is that they're moving. They're either moving by migration or they're moving by invasion. Number 2, they occupy government positions. And when they begin to occupy government positions, they begin to vow for, different stuff like that. Number 3, they begin to multiply. And when they multiply to a certain number, then number 4, they implement Sharia. And the moment you accept Sharia, then jihad will happen. And Nigeria, presently, 12 states are practicing Sharia. 12 states. And if you think those people carrying these atrocities are carrying those guns at the minute, you are wasting your time, because the people that are backing them up are the 2 people that are up high there. They are religious leaders, the oligarchs in the north, the politicians, most of them in the military that are backing them up. They will not come up, but they are supporting it. They want to turn Nigeria to a Turkey. They want to turn Nigeria to a Lebanon. They want to turn Nigeria to a Jordan. They want to turn Nigeria to an Egypt. And we keep shouting this thing every day. Well, over 200 people executed like that, and we are going about our businesses as normal people with no consequence whatsoever. You think you know better than me, isn't it? I keep talking of Islamization agenda, but you think I'm foolish. Not knowing that you are the one that is foolish. For the Yoruba people, I warn you again, be careful. See, I've told you before, in that video I told you, I said the Igbo land will be the most difficult. But what they're going to use in the Igbo land is money, because they understand, see, the devil will always tempt you with what you like most. They know the Igbo people like money. And you'll find that their allergies will begin to woo their people, they'll begin to marry their daughters with money, they'll begin to settle their sons with money, and because of that, Islam will enter. But it will take a long time. So what they do is, they start conquering from the north, and then when they spread to the west, because it will be easy to spread into the west than to the southeast. And then from the west now, they'll conquer. Now you see, their activity in Kwara is very, very, it's very evident now. Their activity in Kwara is evident. Their activities in Kwara is effective. Guess where they are going next? No. You think it's Igbo land or it's South? No, they are entering your state. And they're already in the forest of Oyo. Presently, as I'm telling you, information reaching me, they're already in the forest of Oyo. They'll spread to Ogun. And from there, you think you're in Lagos state and you cannot be touched. No. You think you're in Lagos state, you cannot be touched. I tell you, it's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. You see the speed at which they are moving. It is just a matter of time. It is just a matter of time. I want to tell you, look for how to defend yourself. These people are relentless. These jihadists are relentless. I call on President Tinubu, better do. You see, the re-election thing is just on your mind. The politicians they don't have your time. They don't care about you. Let 500 be killed today. They don't care. They'll go about their campaign. To them, it's about party. To them, it's about party. And we have idiots, useless men in this government that would rather come and, instead of sympathize with the people or profess solution or aggressively attack these people, they would rather come out and banter Peter Obi or banter one party or the other. I'm telling you, if you don't stand and defend yourself and genuinely and vehemently resist Sharia in the West, your situation will be what is happening in the North. You think you know better, isn't it? When we keep shouting, you are playing tribal cards. You think it's because we're against Tinubu, we keep talking. And every time we bring up facts, you turn into tribal cards. You think it's about tribalism. You think it's about, because we're speaking against Tinubu, you are very foolish. You will still come under this street and attack me, but no problem. I want to call on the Nigerian military. As much as I know many of you are compromised, I want to call on the Nigerian government. Do not allow the Fulanis, a minority tribe that is causing mayhem, a minority tribe, an infinitesimal amount of people that can be silenced once. We can't allow them to get dominance, to get ground. I told you of Islamization agenda, you think I'm playing. No problem. If Sharia is not abolished intentionally in Nigeria, I am telling you, 20 years from today, we are not ending this problem. If Sharia is not abolished in Nigeria, 20 years from today, this challenge is not ending. We have become a people that is totally a people of no relevance. We have become a mockery to the international communities. Look, I'm talking now, they took the lights. For 60-something years, power supplies cannot be constant in Nigeria. Causing chaos, causing anarchy in Nigeria. The Islamists, these Fulanis. I've talked about that you should hold Sultan accountable for a lot of this, you did not hear me. I've spoken that you should hold Gumi accountable for most of this, you did not hear me. No problem. We're here. I want to I'll keep saying that the church must rise up to begin to defend itself. Because you see, if they can do that to a community that are even with Muslims, simply because they rejected Sharia, how do you think it will be for Christian communities? If we don't rise up and begin to initiate the Crusader program gradually at this time, to begin to raise people, security networks for the church that will defend Christians in the Christian communities. If you think this is ending anytime soon, you are wasting your time. Oh, this what we are going to is not ending anytime soon. It's not ending anytime soon until you meet their nonsense, their stupidity with a higher level of violence. Until you meet their violence with a higher level of violence before they run away. They will never stop as much as we keep negotiating. We see about over 100 people that were kidnapped from the church. They are still there. Entering to the church with such audacity and kidnap people that are still there. If you think this is ending anytime soon, you are wasting your time. If we don't rise and begin to meet their nonsense, their foolishness with a higher level of violence, 20 years from today, 30 years from today, we are not ending this. And I've told you, Nigeria will never be Islamized. We will rather divide. After all, I've said it over and over. This marriage, this entity called Nigeria is a scam. We have been deceiving ourselves for too long. Nobody wants to say, even though many of us know, nobody wants to say it is a scam. If we don't rise up, these guys are not relenting. They will continue to labor to ensure that they bring Nigeria to a Turkey or to a Lebanon state, and we will not permit that. We will rather divide. The church must rise up at this time. All those nonsensical compromises are trying to be diplomatic. These people are not diplomatic with you. You are the one that want to be diplomatic. Oh yeah, now. No problem. We will keep speaking. What we will not do again is to be silent.
Over 170 Nigerians were unalived yesterday in Kwara State. No, you didn't hear me. Over 170 Nigerians were tied up like goats and they were unalive. They were murdered like Christmas chicken yesterday in Kwara State, in Nigeria. This terrorist operated for like 18 hours unopposed. No security operatives in sight to engage them. Not one. I even heard that they, at some point in that operation, they went to pray, came back and continued. And yet, people woke up this morning in this country and they are going about their businesses, about their work. There is no outrage, there is no protest, there is no uproar. Nobody is saying anything other than on social media. This president, however he did it, won the election. He promised to protect lives and properties. As one of his promises, he promised to provide electricity in his first 2 years of his tenure. And guess what? We have not seen none of that. There is no protection of lives and property in Nigeria. People are being unalived every single day in this country. Media don't even report it. In fact, it took the foreign mainstream media to talk about what happened in Kwara yesterday before we could hear of it. The Nigerian media, they don't talk about these things. They have been compromised. People are already campaigning for this guy. People are buying buses. People are donating money to this guy to keep him for a second term in 2027. Imagine for a second that Akpabio's children, Tinubu's children, what's the name of the governor of that state? Imagine that their children were part of those people that were murdered yesterday. Imagine for a second they were part of it. But guess what? They were not part of it. They don't care. They don't give a damn about the common people. They don't care. Their children don't even live in Nigeria. Their children don't even live in Nigeria, so they don't care. The other day, we saw a senator in a private jet. He went to order the Olosho from South Africa. Oshomole. He said it's AI. But the girl has confirmed it's not AI. In a private jet, rubbing her feet mid-air. That's what they do with our taxes. They make promises, they do not fulfill it. Some of you, if your boyfriend make promises to you and they don't fulfill it, you break up with them. Your president is sacrificing your life. Your president do not care. They don't give a damn about you and I. Hours after this thing happened, not a single word has come out from the presidency. Not a single word. Meanwhile, when people are killed in other countries, you see him dropping statements, condolences and all of that. But in Nigeria, people are killed every day, unalived every single day. Media don't talk about. Community are being raised down. People are hunted down like the way you hunt animals. And yet nothing. Today is Kwara State. There are states that are bordering Kwara State. Maybe by the time they are done from Kwara, with Kwara, they will go to other states as well. It's gradually transitioning to state to state to state. These people only care about elections. They only care about receiving oppositions into their fold and celebrating it as a win. No electricity, no good roads, security is non-existent. There is no good schools, no good hospitals. Snake bite killed somebody because there were no venom. There were no, anti-venom in any of the Nigerian hospitals that she went to. Snake bites. So, what is going on? Why do we have stupid Nigerians everywhere? How can you still be waving a flag representing these people, supporting an administration such as this? The only thing that should be on your mind right now is how to chase these people out of power. I don't care who comes in next. These people have to go because they are incapable of protecting lives and the basic things they should do. security of lives and property. They cannot provide it. They don't deserve a second term. Nigeria is on the precipice of chaos. We are already in chaos. No, we are not on the precipice. We are already at war. For me, as far as I'm concerned. What kind of country is this?
We felt, those of us who are still around, that it would be necessary to make a clarification of what happened yesterday, to put the records straight. Yesterday, the Senate did not, I repeat, did not pass transfer of results, which was in the 2022 Act. What we passed, and which the Senate President himself, when he was doing a clarification sitting on his chair, is transmission of results. And I need to make this very clear. Every one of us who is a senator, who has the privilege to represent a senatorial district, came here under the trust of their senatorial zone. And the reason for us to go into a closed session was so that we can tidy up all the niggling things inside there. And when we now come back to plenary to pass it, that we will pass it without any rancor. I can assure you, on my honor and the honor of all of us who are standing here, that both the Electoral Committee of the Senate, then the Ad hoc Committee of the Senate, and also in the executive session that we had, that we all agreed on section 63, which is electronic transmission of votes, or electronic transmission of results. Transmit, not transfer. What is in 2022 is transfer. And we don't want a law that is vague. We don't want a law that will be misinterpreted by anybody. We want a law that is clear, concise, and can be interpreted by all, and that is unambiguous. So it is electronic transmission of results. Yes, thank you. I think we can end it here because we've done well.
Also in Kanu State, well, the Emir of Kanu, Mohammed Sanusi II, is calling out the government, stating that the persistent high rate of child marriage in parts of northern Nigeria is due to the failure to provide schools and opportunities for young girls. Sanusi made these comments during a live television interview on Wednesday as part of a broader conversation on culture, education, and reform. The Emir also condemned domestic violence, saying you cannot beat a woman because your culture says you can. Let's take a look.
Okay, we have citizens and human beings, and they have rights. Those rights are inviolable. You cannot violate them in the name of a culture. You cannot beat a woman because your culture says you can beat her. She's a Nigerian citizen entitled to protection. It doesn't matter what you think. Okay, because these are the values that we live by in this time. You cannot abuse a child. It's all well and good to talk about child marriage. You go to a village in some parts of the north, and there's a primary school, and that's it. So the girl finishes school at 11. Between 11 and 18, what arrangements have you made for her? There's no secondary school. There's no skills center. There is no provision at all for her life. The poor man basically finds that she's 12, 13. He's afraid that she can go and get pregnant on the road, and the next young man that comes, he marries her off. Okay, so you've got to understand that sometimes these cultures basically reflect poverty. It's not about supply, demand is also supply for education. Let's build the schools. Let us go and make sure that we have the primary schools, we have the secondary schools, we have the teachers. And then let us see if people do not take their children through schools.
Ayo Sanusi made critical points here. Nigeria has the world's highest number of out-of-school children, while society debates culture and tradition. The real culprit, as the emir has exposed, is state failure when there are no schools. Families have no choice but to marry their girl child off out of desperation and not tradition. The northern elite need to invest in education.
ED. Very well said. We need more traditional leaders like the Emir. He's always been an advocate of education and always been an advocate of education for the girl child in particular. You know, of course, across board, boy and girl child. But I think it's important for institutions like the SIT of the Emir to come out and speak very boldly about these issues in the north. This is not the first time. On this table, we've often advocated for more infrastructure, social infrastructure, welfare to be directed to the north, and we've asked a question as well around what the governors are doing, especially as when we keep talking about, increased FAC allocation, and we keep facing the center. But a lot of these governors are guilty of not serving their communities or serving their people well, especially with the resources at their disposal. Many of them have access to FAC allocation. Some of them they generate revenue internally, but we don't scrutinize their budgets. They spend the money in a way that beggars belief because a lot of attention is on the center. And so he's spoken very well. Let there be a northern elite consensus to tackle education, and they should give themselves a timeline, and OG will see a considerable advancement in education in the north. And so while we talk about this, also it spills into the issue around insecurity, because if we had the young people engaged and not indoctrinated into false narratives because they have education, we would see a reduction in criminality and criminal activities in the northern part of Nigeria. And so whilst we may scream and shout about how things are bad, the northern Nigeria is unsafe, we must also pay close attention to what dividends of democracy the people in the north are actually enjoying, and how we must not pay lip service to education but actually put our money where our mouth is. Now, talking about the herders who were armed, the truth is that in recent times we've had a proliferation of arms, particularly in certain parts of Nigeria. And so the question I want to ask is, how can a herder afford to buy a weapon? Some of them even have AK-47s. But investigations have been done, and some of the reasons have been cited. Number one is porous borders. So these arms are gotten illegally from neighboring countries. Number two is the fact that they also have financiers who use these herders because they can conceal the weapon to traffic illegal weapons into Nigeria, and some of them retain these weapons. The truth is that if we want to be serious about tackling these issues, a lot of times we know the reason, we know the solution to be given. It is just a political will or a will to solve the matter. This man has his face unmasked. He's walking freely on the street. Why has he not been apprehended? Because many of us know that he possibly does not have a license to carry that weapon.
All right. We'll take our next story now. With a new international investigation, which exposed how a Nigerian socialite, Nzube Henry Ikeji, allegedly posed as the Crown Prince of Dubai to defraud a Romanian businesswoman of over $2.5 million. The investigation by the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project revealed that Ikeji, along with his associate Martins Abuliman, ran a sophisticated romance and investment scam over nearly 2 years. Ikeji allegedly impersonated Sheikh Hamdan Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum on LinkedIn, expressing interest in funding humanitarian initiatives in Romania. What started as professional conversations evolved into a romantic relationship. The victim, identified only as Laura, was allegedly instructed to meet Ikeji's associate in London, where she was reportedly shown a fake bank account with over £200 million. Over time, Laura was said to have transferred more than $2.5 million in various fees before the scheme unraveled.
So this guy climbed very quickly. Just within from 2023 to 2024, he was everywhere. And he could see the wealth, the money, and everything. He flew to London for vacation.
Henry also mixed with Nigerian celebrities, including one of Nigeria's biggest musicians, Davido.
Davido had a concert in Asaba. So as Davido was performing, this guy was bringing bundles of naira, and then he would throw the bundle at the stage. The naira flew around and then carpeted the stage.
What is Henry's nickname?
His nickname is Excess Money. The wife put a post on Instagram thanking God for gifting them another mansion in another city. And that mansion in another city is the house in Abuja. Henry himself posted pictures of him and one of the biggest real estate developer in Nigeria. So my own hunch was like, well, probably he bought this house from this man. So it's probably in one of his estates. Yeah, Henry is me. Chikeze. Eh? From Laura. From Laura. Do you know Laura? From Romania. Did you ever tell her you are Prince of Dubai? Are you sure? I told you I'm Chikeze, I'm a journalist. I'm from OCCRP.
So, how did you get to my house?
Well, that's my job as a journalist.
Why is this man videoing me?
It's not a problem. Don't worry about him. He's my colleague.
Well, this story has garnered several reactions on social media. EKG has not been charged of any crime as of the filing of this report. We're told that authorities in Nigeria, the United Kingdom, and Romania are investigating the case, and some funds have been seized from EKG's associate, Martins Abulimen. And this is the kind of story that we see. I mean, I usually don't, feature stories like this, but when you hear of incidents of this sort of crime, and apparently we'd seen that this man, I mean, he's not guilty, he hasn't been charged, has been seen in pictures even with the Inspector General of Police, Rufai Kayode Egbetokun.
So the thing is, Inspector General might not know that this is for a living, and other people he's seeing we might not know. But you see, there's something about people like this, if he's charged, or let me talk about scam artists in general. They use social appearances to legitimize the money. Hence the pictures with strategic people and all of that. Also, they use politics to legitimize the money. You'll be shocked. Most people that get into politics, Orji, this is the source of their money. And you'll be shocked that that happens. Most importantly, I think the authorities should be able to file a charge, maybe from Romania, from the lady, to be able to come to this jurisdiction and be able to file a charge. But Orji, are you surprised? I mean, that was how Hush Puppy told us he was a realtor for so many years until the truth came out in Dubai. We've had many cases like that. It's the normal MO. That's how Victor Obi told us that he was the best thing because he made a lot of money from tech. In fact, even Forbes
under 30
featured him as 30 under 30 before we finally found out what happened. So there are many of them like that. I mean, there was somebody in Ogun State, I think the special advisor, that was caught abroad. In fact, there's a traditional ruler as we speak currently, and the part in this country.
Not from your area.
That went up. No, a traditional ruler is not from my area.
Oh, is it not?
No, the traditional ruler.
Or maybe a chief.
No, it's not
maybe
a chief.
Former special advisor.
No, none of
Who are you talking about, Dr. Ahmad? Is it from Ogun State?
There's a traditional ruler from somewhere around Osun State. You know who I'm talking about. No, there's a traditional ruler
now.
From, I can't remember the particular town.
Name, okay.
Is it a Petu?
No, the name of the traditional ruler.
I don't remember his name straight off the bat of my head. But it's a traditional ruler. Yes, from Ikpetu Modu, I've just been told. Yeah, thank you so much for that. From Ikpetu in Osun State. That was when he went to America, was apprehended. So this thing has been going on for so many years. I mean, there are people, I mean, we remember the 19 boys days, the Cocaine Avenue boys in Festac, you know. You remember all of those people. So, in fact, there are a lot of wealthy people today that the first tranche of money they made in their life was from scam and things like that. But these people cannot keep giving Nigeria a bad name, the Nigerian praise and all of that.
Yes.
That's why we need to crack them down.
Okay.
The people he was pictured with might not know. Most of the time, they don't always know. But please be careful to also ask when you see people spending money in a too good to be true way, ask questions.
Right, Dr. Abati, over to you. You also wanted to touch on Emir of Sanusi's story.
I wanted to comment on what Sakin Kanu said.
Yes.
First about, education. Now, the northern leaders, emirs, governors, they've been holding meetings since 1957 to address the problem of education out of school children in the northern part. Why is it that since 1957, northern leaders have not been able to solve the problem? So the problem is a failure of leadership. These same leaders of the north, they send their daughters to schools abroad, to elite schools, but they ignore the people. They run a feudalistic system that has survived till today. Now, every effort by the Nigerian government to address the problem has not even worked. In 2014-2013, the Jonathan administration built 165 Almajiri schools in the north to get the children out of the streets. The same northern leaders did not allow the Almajiri school model to work. So when Sakin Kano, Sanusi II, says this is a serious problem, it's a serious problem because also the elite in the north have refused to commit to the education of the girl child. They see them as brides. Girl child as brides. A girl, not a bride. Now quickly on women not to be beaten. Now there's a law in the country called the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act 2015, which has been adopted by 35 states out of 36. Now, do you know that the states that have refused to gazette that law, they are northern states. Most of them. So beating women is a crime.
It is a crime.
Beating a man.
This is
beating
it
a
for
man
everyone.
Let me fight for us too.
Beating a man is a crime. Beating a woman is a crime.
Violence against persons.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that. We had a bunch of stories to take. We had our good news report featuring Kai Senat, who is the American streamer. We'll take that tomorrow because I'd love to really feature the story properly. We also had the story of Akpabio saying that he did not reject the electronic transmission of result, but that was such a big issue because, I mean, what he's saying is really not what we're talking about. We're talking about the fact that real-time results need to be.
So guys, you have seen what's currently happening in Nigeria. A whole lot is happening in this country. Now, there is another headline here that says terrorists abduct entire family of 9 in Edo State. Demand 260 million naira. The same thing that happened in Kaduna State, you know, the people they kidnapped from the church, they demanded for 260. It's like that's their new figure now. Now, let's see how Nigerians have reacted to this news. This person said the imbecile Monday full promised them insecurity and they are getting it. Can you imagine a whole family of 9 abducted in Edo State? Hey, God, what is Nigeria turning into? This government has no intent to solve the insecurity problem. The moment Tinubu understands that Fulanis are not the owners of Nigeria, he will wake up and do the needful. My main worry is whether Tinubu is even okay. He has been dodging the press like Buhari. We don't know we don't know his state of mind, honestly. Whether Tinubu is even well. Nobody. APC hijacked your state and you were jubilating. How far? And this person, Edo people will sell their vote. We offer them a good governor, Olumide Akpata. They take and play. Edo have been the second or the best performing state. Edo have been the second or the best performing state. And this person, Fulani terrorists are in every state in Nigeria now because they know Tinubu government can't do anything to them. So guys, it is time people wake up on their own. I mean, very soon you no go see poor man for this country again. That might just be a very easy way to eradicate poverty if he work here, if he work everywhere else. And this other person here say, if them kidnap Edo indigenous people finish, how and where did the governor want take see 3 million votes for Jagaban? And this person, I dare High Chief Okoro to criticize his government now, or now Obi matter hold am, and this person say, where is the governor who is preparing to give Tinubu 2 million votes? This person say, these people don't enter Edo State. Kwara State has gone. Terrorists are the ones running the country. Hey, they are bold and fearless now because we have a weak and incompetent people in power. Very shameful. Oh my God. Una go query very soon. Una go query very soon. This person say it is Okoro's family. That's good news. So he can enjoy steaming jollof rice and AC blazing inside the bush. And this other person here say 2.5 million votes for drug baron. So guys, a whole lot is happening in Nigeria. Don't forget that the Senate president is being accused to have rejected the passage of the bill that will approve the transmission of results real time. I mean, as you are voting, this is what other countries are doing. Ghana, them, South Africa, them. They are doing it and conducting their election very peacefully, you know, showing patriotism. But in Nigeria, you have rogues that want to steal the vote and still claim they won the election. Like they will tell you now that Tinubu won. They know that they didn't. There is no truth. When you have a country that from A to Z are just liars, what do you think? Now, there is another breaking news. Nigerian Senate has senators have stated at a press conference that the electoral reform bill passed by the Senate president was not the version approved by the Senate. They say that they are shocked, just as Nigerians are by what was eventually passed. Recall the fraudulent tax reform bill that was earlier passed into law. I warned about the consequences of allowing such manipulation to stand. Under Tinubu's administration, the rule of law has been put to death. Hey, God. Hey, wait, everything now forgery under Tinubu. God forbid the devil. Why is he teaching his children criminality? God. It is sad reality that Nigerians are not seriously ready to liberate themselves from criminal organizations parading themselves as leaders in this country. And this person, forgery is a burden on the government. It's very difficult for them to ever come clean. God forbid bad thing. God forbid bad thing. Hey, God, how can Tinubu everything forgery under the Tinubu's government? Nigerians, what is happening? This person say, landlords, reclaim your property. This person, the answer is this. It's a massive protest. Senate president is a scammer. I mean, Nigerians should just think of protest. At this time now, see, protest is what is needed. I mean, protest, because they have crippled the people with the shooting of the military during the NSAS. Nigerians are now afraid to come out because of the number of persons that died and those that lost maybe their legs, their eyes, or any part of their body. Hey, but guess what? Criminality is getting to the top roof. I mean, every time they are shocked, no consequences to fraudulent practices. Or are you shocked we found out? And this other person says Akpabio is a rogue. Hi, very shameful. This is a serious issue now in Nigeria where someone will change laws that the Senate make. APC is a criminal organization that must be stopped. I mean, this is horrifying. Very, very horrifying. This is a serious allegation that strikes the heart of democracy. If lawmakers themselves say the bill they passed is not what was approved, then transparency and accountability has clearly been compromised. Nigerians deserve a legislative process that respects due process. Hey, my father. That respects due process, the rule of law, and the will of the people. Democracy cannot survive where trust in institution is repeatedly betrayed. Oh, my father. This is what is happening. Impeach the Senate president with immediate effect. So my question is, why did Akpabio change what the Senate agreed in their closed door session? This shows how wicked, evil this current administration of APC are. Gosh. This other person here say, why is successive leadership in Nigeria worse than the previous ones? I had thought Ahmad Lawal 9th National Assembly was disastrous, but God with Akpabio's 10th National Assembly has redefined failure and rubber stamping, standing on Bola Tinubu's mandate and selfishly opposing Nigerians. Opposing Nigeria's progress. Hey, Baba. So, guys, honestly, this person said he thought Buhari's time was the worst, but now he's now understanding that Buhari's time was even like the time of the Messiah. Can you imagine? This country is gone, no. Nigerians, this country don't finish. Anyway, let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification for more. Thank you.